Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt. We've got a body armor test today. My friend Al over at Stealth Armor Systems sent us over some of his flexible rifle armor to test today. This is very similar to the Safe Life Defense FRAS. There are a bunch of little hexagon tiles that make up the strike face on this unit, and then there's some Kevlar and aramid fibers and polyethylene behind it that are not pressed, that makes it flexible. It's truly, not, you can't flex it like a loose piece of string or, a piece of rubber, but it actually contours to your body fairly well, so it makes it fit better. This one weighs right around 5.12 pounds. Based on my dial calipers, it's around 900 thousandths thick. Our HEXAR is level 3 in conjunction with rated, meaning that you must run a level 3A backer behind it to maintain acceptable backface deformation when using level 3 threat, which currently is only M80 ball. Now out here, I try to stick to some NIJ constants, which gives me a little more data than other channels. We shoot at 45 feet. That is the official NIJ testing distance. 0 degrees as well, because any oblique shots only increases the armor's performance. I use this giant clay briefcase that you see here filled with Roma Plastilina #1 clay donated by Chavant. This provides me a compressible media as well as a very heavy media to put the plate against so that we're not losing energy on the projectile by throwing it on the ground. The NIJ heats this up to right around 95 degrees, and then they do a drop calibration test on it to check the back face. Since it's only about 40 degrees outside today, I can't do that out here, but the clay has been heated up beforehand with a little space heater, so it's around 75 degrees, so we should see just a representation of back face. I also use a chronograph whenever possible, and I put a pre-summary and post-summary spreadsheet on here so you guys can kind of foreshadow all the different threats that we're going to shoot at it. Since currently NIJ level 3 only encompasses M80 ball, the upcoming 07 standards breaks level 3 off into RF1 and 2, and essentially it adds M855 as well as M193 and 762 by 39 mild steel core. So I have a 22-inch TC compass here with the Turbo 556. We're going to see maximum velocity on here. We'll take 9 shots of 556 on it. I'll check the plate, and we'll take some 308 hits on it, and that's where I think we'll see the most damage based on our prior testing. So I have M855, that is the Army's 62 grain penetrator round, has a conical steel tip. I have M855A1, that is the Army's current issue ball round. It has a much larger arrowhead steel tip and harder as well. Then I have our Speed Demon Independence M193, that is a 55 grain full metal jacket lead core known for busting steel armor. We will take those shots last. We'll take the M855 first, then the M855A1. I'm very interested to tear this plate down to see how it compares to the Safe Life Defense plate. I know Stealth Armor Systems has said that their plate offers more ceramic coverage, so a 10 by 12 model actually has almost 10 by 12 of ceramic coverage on it. Losing a little bit of daylight here. We should be able to get these in. I have the lights on the chronograph over here. So we have M855 first. That one was the upper left, so I'm going to place the next one right next to it. Then I'll go down to back on the left again for the third shot. Now our A1 variant. Seeing quite a bit of sparks down there. Now M193 will be on the third row. Poor velocity out of the Independence today. I think the powder is temperature sensitive. Now this is where we get to test our back face signature. I have a 22-inch TC compass, have the JK armament rifle kit on there. We have some Poonsang, my new favorite word, M80 ball. This is 145 grain full metal jacket. We should hopefully see 27 to almost 2,800 feet per second out of it, although like I said, it's cold outside today, so our velocities have kind of been in the pooper. Kind of see what back face we're gonna get off this, and then I may have another threat after it. But since this is not level 4, there's not a whole lot of advanced threats that I can throw against this because the strike face isn't thick enough to stop a lot of those threats. So this one is going to be on the right on that third row. I'm going to place the second one. I'm going to try on the top of the little cross, that HEXAR between those 5.56 threats, because I want to try a compromised area. This one will be, we're going to go to the bottom corner. Bottom left corner, I should specify. And then I'll put this one right next to it. All right, let's go see what we did. We have our geese in a row.
Hawk, hawk, hawk!
We have M855 number 1, number 2, number 3, then M855A1 number 1, number 2, number 3, then M193 number 1, number 2, number 3, then finally M80 ball number 1, number 2 up here in this compromised area, number 3, and number 4. This one, now that one probably wouldn't be considered a fair hit, but who's counting anyways?
Can I bring the plate down yet?
Yeah.
If I forgot to mention, I've added a razor level 3A to comply with the in conjunction with requirement. R.A.N.G.E, we have one penetration. Looks like from that M80 ball on the bottom. I don't know, we'll have to tear this down, and maybe I wasn't on a solid ceramic tile down there. But that one up there on the compromised spot was stopped no problem. And then back face wise, you know, here's our M80 ball. Let me grab the depth gauge. Our depth on our M80 ball, right around 28 millimeters. About 20 on there. Our 5.56 threats, right around 15. So nothing to write home about with our 5.56, which is typically what we've seen with most of my testing. It is until you get into the 308 threats or the 300 Win Mag that we're seeing more back face. Impressive. Now that one down there, not sure how it happened, but that's why we're out here. I apologize about the waning sunlight, but I think the video quality is still good enough that we can do our teardown. Now, one thing that Stealth Armor Systems has gotten right is something that I complain about a lot in all my videos is better adhesion. The longer you can keep this plate together and the better, the longer it's going to perform and do its job. This plate was probably one of the hardest plates that I've had to work at to get into. Here is our back. You can see we're using an aramid Kevlar type fiber. There's multiple pieces inside here. We have our polyethylene backer. You can see down here, there is our penetration from our M80 ball. It was actually going sideways, it looks like. Then we have a sheet of polyethylene. It looks like it's been sewn on the outer corners to keep it together. There's again our M80 ball, and here was a couple threats that made it almost to the back of this one but didn't go through. And then we have another section of polyethylene, again sewn together. Here's a cool thing. Here's all the little hits on the front of it. Very neat how those are dispersed. Now we have more aramid. You can see the alumina inside there. That is the white ceramic. And this part I basically could not get into. It took me about 5 minutes. Peel this out of the way. Maybe hard to see, but we are using hexagon tiles, but they are much much smaller. I measured one at about 215 to 220 thousandths thick. These are almost maybe half the size of the Safe Life Defense FRAS one. So that allows us to get closer to the edge there. You can see that this goes pretty much all the way out to the edge as far as coverage goes. But I think with our little hexagon tiles, that works against us when we get to those larger threats, such as that 308. I mean, we were on a ceramic tile when we were down there, so it somehow found a way to get through. But that's amazing. All those little tiny tiles, you can see them flexing there. When we did put it up against the clay briefcase, it was flat, so it wasn't squeaking through like an opening between the different tiles. There's more aramid fiber with lots of glue on it, and then we have a high density foam drop face protectant like we've seen before. That's a good thing to help prevent against cracking when dropped, although I think because this is flexible, that's probably a non-concern. So cool. Little tiny baby hexagon tiles. Oh, you just want to kiss them. Mwah, mwah, mwah. For our flexible rifle plates, it's really hard to make a determination on how much more advantage you have with these compared to, say, multi-curve or single curve, because everyone's body type is different. I had my wife run in our Stealth Armor Systems plates, and she didn't really notice a difference compared to the multi-curve steel that she had on, other than, they're thicker, so they fit the plate carrier a little better. I would say just from wearing them around the range a little bit, that they conform to your body this way better. So they're almost like a multi-curve, they don't, and then you don't have this straight up here, but otherwise it's really hard to just quantify and say how much better the multi-curve is. But this is the front and back of the two panels. I mean, I got pretty good flexibility here. The plate isn't like, the plate will give a little bit this way, so if you bring your arms together to shoot a pistol, you've got that flex there. Well, I'd say our Alumina HEXAR from Stealth Armor Systems didn't do too bad. I was fully expecting to see a lot larger tiles on our strike face than what we actually have here. These are very tiny. So that actually means that we get more edge-to-edge coverage on this particular model versus, say, the Safe Life Defense. Now, I did have that one penetration on our M80 ball down here at the bottom. I'm not sure how that happened because it was on one of those tiles, but it stopped, over a dozen other rounds. And I think with these hexagon tiles, I think the limit for their performance is about that M80 ball range once you get into those larger 30 caliber projectiles. Even though Stealth Armor Systems is a smaller manufacturer, their quality is on point. There's a lot of high-end materials that I see making up this particular plate. We've got this aramid Kevlar fiber that fully encapsulates our strike face to make it flexible, and it was downright not easy to get into. I only got a couple tiles out that I did because I scored the front of it to peel this away. So using a lot of adhesives. Our polyethylene layers behind it have to remain flexible, so they're not, pressed together with a giant press and then heated, but he's using stitching on the outer edges of those to keep those panels together so they don't delaminate as much as they should be. So all in all, this is a very well constructed plate. I'm very curious to see how the boron carbide version of this plate performs. As of recording this closing, I have not yet tested that plate, but I plan to soon. As I close out all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who helped make these possible. Number 1 is my Patreon supporters. Number 2 is Al over at Stealth Armor Systems. And of course, number 3 is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range. This particular version of the HFRAS is the Alumina version. It weighs 5.12 pounds. It's about